Hi there, my name's CJ Jackson. I'll be your teacher this term for Online Astronomy 101. Most of you in the course are on an STGEC pathway. You're going to get a transfer gen ed core and you need a little science credit. And you might not be familiar with this Ivy Learn environment, which mimics the Canvas environment, which is beneficial to a lot of you that are on a pathway to the Bloomington or University of Louisville or another statewide school or some private schools, because they use learning platforms similar to Ivy Learn. Ivy Learn calls their system Ivy Learn because they wanted to break away from the Canvas nomenclature. So you'll hear Canvas, some of you might be aware of that through a sibling, but it's basically a learning management system that's not unlike Google Classroom. It's just much more dynamic. So it's great that you're having an introduction to that. So let's dive right in. And a lot of you are very intuitive with technology, so it's fairly self-explanatory, but on the left-hand side here you have quick links to areas that are quite obvious to interpret, like discussions, which you'll interact. Because we're not face-to-face, we're asynchronous here, discussions will be sent out through this tab. So whenever you open up discussions, one of the first ones you'll interact with is an introductory discussion. Let's see who's in the class, just like being in day one. The thing that's good about discussions, you have about a week to interact with that. So how do you do that? Again, it's fairly intuitive. You guys will catch on quick, you digital natives, but this will be your prompt. You'll click in that area, and then you'll read these three areas. That's what I'd like to have some feedback about. And you will type that in there simply by clicking reply. I've also asked you to interact with two other students for full credit, and that is very similar to you talking within the classroom. And because we can't do that, again, we're asynchronous because we're not sharing a synchronization of time here. We're going to do that through this. So you have wonderful flexibility. You can do that in a time and space that's beneficial to you. Do notice that you have a due date of September 1st. And then it will close out. So it's critical that you stay in tune with the due date. So how do you know where the due dates are? Use your calendar. Ivy Learn has a calendar very similar to a Google Calendar that a lot of you have interacted with in the past, and use that. That will be where you have things come up. You'll have weekly objectives, and they are quizzes. The assignments you have are in something called Mastering Astronomy. My Lab is the link to access that. Once you are there, that's going to take you to a separate area that's affiliated with your Ivy Learn environment, but it's actually separate from it. So what's nice about the higher ed institution, they've got it integrated, where some of you have had AP courses or dual credit courses in the past, and you've had to go to a mastering platform, maybe a math-like mastering platform where Pearson hosts that, and you've got to log in separately. That's not the case with this. Ivy Tech has a nice intact package. Once you have credentialing, you're able to envelope yourself within one course learning management system. But in reality, there's two in the background. So a nice upgrade. What you'll do once you're here is click on these, and each week is associated with a certain module. Those of you who would like a little bit of extra credit, this is where it is. So your Mastering Astronomy has a little bit of extra credit. It'll tell you about how to earn that extra credit. Basically, it's not asking for hints and doing exceptionally well with your answering habits, not getting things wrong. So those are things where you'll earn a little extra credit because the quality of your response is well above average. And although we often don't reward that, we will in this case. Now back to our Ivy Learn environment. Other things where I will communicate with you through is an area of the course called Announcements. Announcements is like walking into a brick and mortar classroom and seeing an announcement on the board. Because we're not in that mode, we'll do that asynchronously, electronically. So when you get to your first day of the course, or you want to review the first day of the course, this is what you'll see. So this is coming out from the college, and they're going to give you some Canvas guides, Canvas student guides, and you say, well, what is Canvas? Well, Canvas is Ivy Learn. It's just a rewording there. So anytime that I'm going to communicate with the entire class at once, again, this would be like going into a classroom, seeing an announcement. This is where we'll have that. One point of interest here that some of you future planners may want to make a special interest note of is that Ivy Tech Fall Break falls between these two dates. I know we are doing different things because a lot of you are from different schools in the course, so be sensitive about when your fall break is. Some of you are demonstrating a 2-week fall break, some of you don't have a fall break, some of you have a 1-week fall break. we are going to recognize IVTech's fall break because this is an IVTech course. So that's the fall break that we have. So what if you have coursework due whenever you have fall break? That's what's nice about online learning. It's tremendously flexible. So work ahead a little bit. Get your work done before. Don't wait until it's past due. That's shut down, and you miss the credit. You miss the opportunity. But what you can do in this learning environment is work ahead. So how do you do that? Well, go to your modules. Your modules are like your folders and your task list. Once you're in your modules, you're going to have week by week modules that you can get into. For example, here's Module 1. Each one of these are things that are pertinent to objectives in the course. Now, some of them are simply reading. Some of them are tools to help you learn, study, those types of things that deal with that. So, if you like the PowerPoints, those are the presentations that deal with that. If you need a little refresher with math and arithmetic, and maybe a little bit of brushing up on some physics in your background, that's a good starting point. If you're struggling with sig figs, those types of things, you want to make sure you're on par with the expectations in the course. Right there is your starting point. So if math makes you a little bit nervous in the course, rest easy. There's not a tremendous amount of it. You're going to do absolutely fantastic. Just use this as a refresher content. Then you can kind of go through with these. One thing that's really important to get started is a syllabus quiz. The reason I'm asking you to complete a syllabus quiz is so that you know the dynamics of the syllabus and what's to be expected of you in the course. You're going to do really well, and to help you do really well, you need to make sure you've done really well on that syllabus quiz. So within that Module 1, you also have a Chapter 1 quiz. You notice at the bottom. So your chapter quizzes are pretty similar to a reading quiz. Not exactly like that, but pretty similar to a reading quiz. Every so often I'll give you a video like this to help you visual learners, but for the most part we're going to be interacting with mastering astronomy. The quizzes, the presentations, which are like PowerPoints, and then the study resources available. So you have a great wealth of study materials to deal with that. Now, one final point that I'll leave you with, one of two final points I'll leave you with, is the syllabus. Syllabus is extremely important, especially at this level of learning, because you guys are pretty much on your own, and nobody's there to tell you every day to do this and look at that and check this. You've got to do that on your own. This is the document that's going to be the main backbone. So it tells you some information that deals with higher learning information, which is really not that pertinent to you because you're not an on-campus student. But do pay attention to a couple things here. Last day to withdraw. That's a sensitive date there. So if you're in the course and it's not going in a way that's conducive for your academic pathway, you need to get out of it. And to do so, we need to do that before November 10th. We need to be able to do that. And then finally, everybody wants to know what their grade is. And so how do you know what your grade is? That's what's nice about this syllabus and the level of the class that you're in. It's right here. You're going to have a midterm. You're going to have a final exam. We're going to have 14, so on and so forth. You can read through there and figure that out. But basically, it's a 1,000-point course. So if you want an A, you need to earn 900 points. If you want a B, 800 points. It's that simple. Just do your work. Make sure that you're achieving those. You'll find that you have the opportunity to rework some areas of the course outside of the midterm and final exam. No reworking there. So you have many, many opportunities to do extremely well in the course. So hopefully that'll be conducive to you. The last item, which is extremely important, so listen carefully, is dealing with the exams. Your exams are proctored events. What's that mean? You've got to go to a place that you may not have visited before called a proctored exam test center. So read this carefully. Read this area carefully in your syllabus. You have a free option to go to your local IVTech test center, which for most of you will be Sellersburg. So you can go there. You can click there, and it will self-schedule you. You'll go through there and you'll self-schedule. Most likely, you're probably going to have to communicate with the testing center to be able to make that happen because you're not a student directly. But you do have a C number, a student number. IVTech has issued that. So that may get you through that self-scheduling. If you don't like the idea of going to IVTech or that doesn't fit well with your schedule because we are so flexible in this learning environment, you can visit ProctorU. Now understand, ProctorU is not free. There is pricing involved, but this ProctorU test proctoring system allows you to have greater autonomy on where you take your test. In other words, you can take it at home, you can take it at a library, you can take it so on and so forth. You'll need to pre-schedule this ProctorU and that well in advance of when your midterm and final exams are. Keeping in mind that you're not the only ones doing that. We've got a statewide level of test takers within IVT and other institutions that's going to be using these services as well. So be a future planner, be a forward thinker and get these things planned out and avoid that bottleneck, because nobody likes to get down to your last 2 days to take your final or midterm and learn quickly that there's no test slots available. And that's happened. So avoid that stress, avoid that duress, and schedule early. So do you have to go anywhere to take an exam for this course? The answer is yes. You'll need to go to a Proctor testing site, and that can either be as simple as going to Sellersburg, scheduling a time, and taking it there. You'll need to do that for your midterm and final. Or you can choose to use a ProctorU and take it at a place of your liking. They're going to ask you to credential in. So those are things that are dealing with that. Outside of that, you have a fantastically flexible course. I don't think you'll have any trouble whatsoever. You guys are brilliant, and you're going to do wonderful in staying in touch with everything. But do make sure that you stay up with your calendar. Don't let due dates slip past. You have absolutely everything planned out for you on your calendar, so we're not going to extend our times of due dates because we don't need to. You guys know exactly when everything is due. There's no surprises. You can plan the entire term and have no major surprises. If you need to contact me, best way to do that is use Inbox. In the syllabus, there is a phone number you can send voice or text to. I'll return that in a delayed fashion because Inbox is going to send it to my email, and that's going to be the quickest way for me to return back. So if you would like a more quick turnaround in communication, please use Inbox. Inbox is just an IVT email system that's internal. Please use, ideally, please use your IVT student email. Some of you have that and are aware of it, but that's what we want to have used from those. If you have any questions, that's the best way to contact me. If you have any questions for the class in general, like I don't think my computer's working, or does anybody have any information if the system's not working right, the best way to go there is go to Discussions and click Help Forum. If you're interested in seeing some things in the night sky without a telescope that is related to what we're studying, check out the Night Sky Objects to View forum. That's an optional forum, and that's where I will tell the class about things that you can go out and observe without a telescope. And we're going to start the course off with a beautiful view of Jupiter and Saturn. And at the time of this recording, we got the Perseid meteor shower putting on an amazing show. And I look forward to having the moon go to a less luminous phase so I can enjoy a few more streaks of light. So hopefully I'll get the course started. By all means, reach out and contact me through Inbox if you have any questions. And you guys are going to do wonderful in the course. Just make sure you have a critical eye and get used to the online asynchronous learning modality. It's a little bit different, but you guys will do well. Thanks.